how to redefine art with the iPad. So first of all, I want you to think about, what was art like for you? When you were in school, what did your art classroom look like? What type of activities did you do? What other things do you think that might have made it a bit more interesting for you going forward? So we're going to look at the SAMR model again today, and we're going to be focusing on the redefinition. So the idea that technology allows the creation of new tasks previously inconceivable. And we're going to share with you some examples that we use in our own classroom, as well as how you can implement those. So we're going to start off today by looking at augmented reality, and Dave is going to take the lead on this. And I found this really interesting, this quote from Tim Cook, that AR is going to be part of an everyday experience. It'll be like eating 3 meals a day and will become part of you. So I think it's really important that we start to prepare our learners for this development and to give them the experience of creating their own augmented reality. So Dave is going to take over from here and show you some examples of AR, and he's going to show you how you can implement them also. Over to you, Dave.
Really simple. I'm going to kind of demonstrate how to do this one. AR Maker, really, really simple. So if a student does something like a children's book illustration or a page in the sketchbook, they can actually make that just come to life really simple through AR Maker. I'm just going to demonstrate really quickly. I'm going to show you a few things. Laura, can you just skip on to the next slide before I actually just put my... So this one, we were really looking forward to the summer and the moderator coming in, because we were going to have all these black and white abstract photographs. And then obviously when the moderator came in, give them an iPad, scan the QR code, and then all these one. It's a black and white image. You scan the QR code, look through the iPad, and basically that animation, all bright colours, works and kind of springs to life. And the idea was we were going to have a whole series of these black and white images on the wall, and basically an augmented reality gallery. I think probably the best thing for me to do is to share my screen. I'm just going to show a couple of little examples of what we can do in terms of AR. So basically, if I go into Keynote, this is a little guy I made earlier, right? Just drew him onto there. This type of thing will become a bit more clear as we go on, but I'm going to use this little fella as an example. Basically drawn into Keynote, okay, just as we did in the last session, just drawn into Keynote. Now I want to export that as an image, as what we call a PNG, and get rid of the background on it. So I click on these 3 dots, I click export, I go to images, I make sure PNG's selected, and I click, what I should have said, sorry, was on here, there's no background set to it. So the background's transparent. It just means that when it goes into AR, he's going to be on his own without a background. So I click in here, export, images. You can see PNG selected, and click export. And I'm going to save that into my camera roll. Now I go into AR Maker. Where's my right? AR Maker, right? Just take this off. Okay. So I'll quit out with this just to show you from right from the beginning. So you get this screen. Create your own scene. So we click on the start at the bottom, and this is what you get. It says move your iPad around to detect flat surfaces in your environment. And you can see there, it's created those dots. It's given me an area where I want to put my characters. So I just click Add Touch. Now I already imported that. We click New at the side, and then you click on the files, and you will see the little guy pop up like that. Okay, and then I simply click the tick, click OK, and now the little monster is basically there, and I can make him. You move it around to decide. You actually move the iPad front to back to decide where you want to place him, and then you press place. Okay, and if I go back, you will see him there, kind of sat on the table there. It's a great way for the students to, to bring their illustrations to life, basically. That's AR in the most simplest form, putting a 2D drawing, using AR Maker, and you could then just add another one in. You know, I've got this little guy here, so we could put him in there as well. Just place that. Okay, so we've got 2 of them. You can then press this this video button. Okay, I won't put the other one just in case it crashes, but then you'll see at the side there we have a video camera and we have a still camera, so you can either take a still photograph or you can take a little bit of video. Then that can be kind of put into sketchbooks, it can be put into PowerPoints, and it can be shared that way. Okay, that's really basic. Yeah, I'm going to show you another couple of things. Reality Composer. I don't know if anybody's used Reality Composer before. So this is kind of the interface. I'm going to click on the little plus icon at the top. When it comes up, it asks me, choose an anchor. So do I want it kind of from the table or the floor, the wall? In this case, I want to link an image to it. So I just click image there. I'm just going to click on that blue thing and delete that. Okay, so I need to import my image. Anchor, you'll see at the side here it says anchor. So I'm basically going to click image asset, imported, and you'll see I've got this this version of it's a badly printed out version. My printer wasn't working, but it's perfect for what I want to show you. So I'm now adding the anchored image. Okay. Now you can move that out, you can see that. That's going to be my anchored image. So every time I hold the iPad to that image, I'm now going to create a visual over the top of that. So I then click on the plus icon at the top. I click the plus icon again to import, and somewhere, it's going to be browse. What I'm going to do, I'm going to do it a slightly different way. I'm going to split screen with Keynote. Okay, I'm just going to go back again. I'm going to open this presentation here. Okay, and I'm just going to drag this across. So, right, I'm going to drag it in parts. So I'm going to select that layer, and I'm just going to hold that, and I'm going to take it across like that. Okay, I can then make that bigger. I can scale it up. I can lift it off. Okay, I'm going to take some of these across. So I just hold that down, drag it across, and it drags straight into Reality Composer. And again, you can give it some depth by raising it off the surface, as you can see there. Oops, it's gone. Drag it across on here. It's not liking that one for some reason. There we go. So I'm going to move that one over to there. And I'm going to take that ball from the background there as well. I'm just going to put this back here. So I'm going to then take the ball. Doesn't want to get that. Come on. Right, I'm just going to play with what I've got here. Okay, so now I can actually touch on these objects. I can touch on these, and now I can make these move by adding animations to them. If I click on this little icon at the top that looks like an arrow, like that, arrow with lines coming from it, I can click behaviors. Okay, so I click the little plus button at the top, and I'm going to go to custom at the bottom. I'm going to click trigger. So I add a trigger, and the trigger I want is on a tap. So when I tap it, it's going to do something. So I'm going to click on that shoe. So affected objects, you'll see it says one object. So when that shoe's touched, I'm going to get it to do something. So I click done. I click action sequence, and I'm going to click that, and I'm going to go to spin. Okay, we'll have a duration of about 5 seconds, 2 or 3 iterations. I click the object I want, click done, and you'll see there kind of an example of how it's going to look. If I want to do the other shoe now, I click another behavior. I go to custom at the bottom. I add a trigger again, tap, and I'm going to click on this one, just that one object, done. Then I'm going to add action sequence, and I'm going to do the same thing again, spin. Okay, I choose that object again. Yeah, choose that object again, same thing, and you'll see that one, it's going to spin a little bit faster. Okay, so now if we view this in augmented reality, okay, you will see that if I find the picture, okay, so at the minute it looks a little bit big, so that's now where we can go back in, and we need to edit this. But you get the idea. Come on. Yeah, they're way too big, but hopefully you get the idea. So if I press play and click on these, you can make your image interactive. So every time it finds this image, you can see the size of it, right? The size isn't relevant. There is a video you will see, right? So this is the video working perfectly, okay? So if you then touch those things, they'll move. Again, the ball. So it makes the artwork interactive. Again, this could be on the wall. You look at it through the iPad, and you can have all this interactivity with it. Another little thing I've done with my students is on an app called Tinkercad. I don't know if anybody's seen Tinkercad before. We look at John Bergerman quite a bit. Now, John Bergerman, you might have noticed this sort of thing. He does doodles, and we made these 3D models based around John Bergerman stuff. But we can then use and teach them some basic 3D. So in an app called Tinkercad, you will see here, this is a 3D program. It's quite simple. It can be quite difficult, but it can be quite simple as well for the students to use. I'm just going to move them out of the way and just show you. Basically, I can drag these things in. Okay, I can drag these in, change the size of them. I can click on it. I can change the color. Okay, I can put some I can give them some eyes. So you get the idea of how you can create a monster. But basically, I've got this one here. Okay, I've got him here. I'm going to delete this one just to show you how we can do it. I'm going to delete him. I'm going to delete that. So it's basically shapes. It's building up shapes. Once I've designed my model, or the students or the pupils designed their model, we can then make that into AR. If I click export, and I'm going to click USDZ, that's Apple's basically, that's for augmented reality, USDZ. If I click that, it'll tell you at the bottom it's downloading it. I'm going to save it to my files, and I'm going to save it in my iCloud drive. Then it should, if I go back to Reality Composer, and I'm going to create a new one. So this time I just want to link it, I just want it to go to the table. So I'm going to click on that, delete that. Okay, I'm going to click the plus at the top, imported, and I should find my model. If I click on my model, you'll see him appear there. Okay, I can make him as big or as small as I want. Okay, so he's there. Now, the really interesting thing you can do with this is, again, you can add physics to this. You can move him about. You can make it jump, or I'm just going to demonstrate here. If I click again this, I want to add this time. I'm going to add custom. I'm going to add trigger, and I'm going to add tap. So when he's tapped, he's going to do something. I'm going to go action sequence, and I'm going to go emphasize. Now we'll see here, motion type at the bottom. I'm going to click bounce. I'm going to style. I'm going to change that to playful, and I'm going to change it to, that will do. Okay, so we can see he's going to bounce like that. Okay, so if I then put it into AR, we can have him on the floor. All right, and so then when we press play, you can actually, and you can add as many as you want, and you can play about adding all the different physics to it as well. Great little thing to do with the students. And again, you can make that as advanced as you want to. So I'll just finish this a little bit off, Laura, and you can see here how advanced you can actually go. This is a sixth form student, and he's actually designed that on that Tinkercad program, incredibly detailed. But you can see the picture on the left, how he's kind of put it in situ, and how you can attach it to a sketchbook page there. And you can see again examples. Three-dimensional, these were printed on a 3D printer, but also in augmented reality as well. And you can see there's some year 10 sculptures designed to fill a space, and they can visualize them in 3D. Again, in augmented reality. Okay.
Okay, so this is just something we want to introduce you to. So there's a term called futurism, and it came about by an artist called, I think it's Amir Badaraddin. Can you just go on to the next bit for me, please, Dave, so you can just check his name. So he came up with this concept of using AR to change classic pieces of artwork. So in this, as you can see, he says, in this context, my work is intended as pointed commentary on the invasion and a call for new post-national iconography. So he's using the idea of changing old artworks to represent new changes within society. If you go into the next slide, please, Dave. And so it's really interesting to think about how could we empower our learners to use this tool, particularly with how it changes society and the different within the UK and in America, we've seen sculptures being torn down in relation to the Black Lives Matter. How could we use augmented reality to change artworks, to see how they may have been represented today, and looking at the importance of how history's changing and we need to change alongside it. You go to the next part, please, Dave. Okay, so these are some examples of the chat pics which I showed you previously. If you'd like to play them for me, please.
Our task was to use the Brushes app to create a portrait of ourselves in the style of Julian Opie. We had to incorporate his minimalistic style into our work. I did this by adding dots for eyes and using barely any detail in the nose. I think what went well is mine looks similar to one of Julian Opie's. I could have added more detail in the hair, like tones and blending them, to make it look more like Julian Opie's.
Here you can see that I have drawn myself in the style of Julian Opie. The successful part about my work is how I've managed to replicate Julian Opie's art style. The feature of my work that could be improved the most is the hair. I could do this by giving it more texture. By using a different media, I could give more depth. To modify this work to make it look like me, I could add more detail to the skin, like freckles.
the pupils are self-assessing their own work and explaining how they can develop. So we've got a little chat box challenge for you later on, which will be a creative challenge to carry on with next week. If we can go on to the next slide, please, Dave. These are another example of using GIF in order to develop artwork and take it to the next level. And this is very similar to the way that Michael Craig Martin has done these. Those of you in the session last week would have already seen these. So we're going to build on this today, and you're going to be using GIF to help you develop your own redefined pieces of artwork. If you go into the next slide, please, Dave. Again, this is what we're going to be looking at. So these are inspired by the artist John Bergerman, and you're going to be creating a piece of artwork today with the use of photography and drawing included. This is an example. Those of you who know Damien would know these in ADE in the school with myself at St. Cyries. This idea came from two of the pupils within his form group. So Jamie and Carless love digital drawing, part of the digital drawing club, and they came into school and asked, is there a way that they'd be able to use the new green screen function on iMovie at the time to be able to interact with the digital drawing? And the answer was yes, so they created this. And if you can go on to the next slide, please, Dave. These are examples that the pupils have created. So they work in pairs with the iPad, put a green screen onto the iPad, and then they slowly bring it down over their faces. That way it turns them into the actual piece of artwork. So the pupils actually led this lesson with me since they came up with the idea, and it's been really successful, and it's been used in other faculties as well. So Richard Hopkin has included a version where he's used skeleton in the wormhole challenge book, and our science department have used it for pretended to do x-rays and different things like that over each of the bodies. So it's been really successful across the school. Okay, so creativity is contagious, pass it on. And something that we wanted to show to you is that if you show pupils that anything is possible, then they're able to develop their own creativity. And the pieces of work that we're going to show you now are examples of GCSE photography, AS photography. So GCSE, they would be 16 years old for those not from the UK. And AS would be the first part of A level, where they're 17 years old. And this is the level of work that they produce independently, because we've built this kind of culture of innovation and kind of experimentation and creativity into the schemes of work. This is Khalil, who's 16. So Khalil has created this using his own videos, he's created his own graphics, his own photography, and using the drawing element within it. The next one is by Faith, who was 17, and she created a trailer for a TV program that you might see on Netflix.
I pray for you on the widow's peak. I hold steadfast to my tired belief that the wind won't whip you overboard. Still asking for your body on the shore.
Right, so that's basically, some of my students have done some great stuff on it, and just on Teams. This landed in my inbox in Teams last week. I've learned how to animate over a video, something I'd never done before at all. Never, and I couldn't understand how we did that anyway. I've basically figured it out. I'll just show everybody, because it's quite a good thing to do. If I click import, if I click photo at the top, not photo, yes, and I go to video, I'm just going to pop this in. Okay, so this is just a Michael Jordan video. If I just drop that in, it'll take a minute or so just to. Sorry, I should have said this is Procreate, right? This is kind of my favorite app. It's a drawing app. You can do lots and lots of great stuff on it, and you'll know, you can't quite see it at the bottom for the. Can everybody see the time at the bottom where it says play, and then it's got all of the individual frames? So it's actually taking the video in frame by frame. So then you can actually just go in and you can draw on each frame of the video. Okay, and then I'm not going to go all the way through, but I actually made one earlier. If I go back in here, if I click on this one, you should be able to see. If I click play, okay, so it's excellent for sort of combining drawing with video content. And I say I never knew how to do it until he shared that with me over Teams. Do you want to speak about these ones, Laura? No, there we go.
So this is going to be start of the challenge that we're going to set you this afternoon. If you can click the animations, please, Dave.
Yeah.
These are pieces of work by the artist Anna Strumpf. So she uses GIFs within her photography. You can move on to the next one. So as you can see, they're really dynamic, interesting, and they really appeal to the pupils. You can go to the next slide, please, Dave. And these are examples of John Bergman's work. So he loves to create kooky characters to do with food, monsters, anything really that inspires him. And your challenge today is going to be to create a creature, your alter ego, anything that inspires you in the style of John Bergman, and you'll be creating a GIF. So if you can move on, please, Dave. So these are some examples of pupils' work where they've used Keynote to create GIF with the drawing elements. So this piece was inspired by Anna Strumpf. Next one, please, Dave. This was inspired, there's another artist, and she uses bright colours and brushes and textures. Next one, please. And again, this one's inspired by Anna Strumpf and Della Desso. So again, using the grime coming out of the camera. Next one, please, Dave. So these are some examples of pupils, John Bergman examples that they've created. And you can see how they've used, again, the characters within their real life situations. They're using photography as well as animation. If you can click on the rugby wall one as well, please, Dave, so we can see that one. So what I'd like you to do, we'd like you to create your own personality, your own alter ego, based on John Bergman using Keynote. And if you can go to the next slide, please, Dave. And we'd love you to share your work using the hashtag #IPadArt2020. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to switch over to my iPad, and hopefully this isn't going to die on me. So as you would have seen earlier, these are some examples of my drawings. So this is my donut character, and I've also created a tacos character and some nachos characters with different expressions. As you can see, we're going to be making a GIF, and I've included my different characters with photography in this and bringing in some storytelling and some narrative to go alongside it. So we're going to be creating an animation using Keynote. So open a presentation, make sure you've got a blank slide. What I suggest that you do then is change the size of it. So click onto the slide, and you want to make sure that it's the right size so you're able to fit the whole image into it. Click on the three dots, go to Document Setup, then go to Slide Size, and you want to select the ratio 4:3. We're normally in 16:9, but you'll find that it's too big for your picture. So make sure you choose the 4:3 ratio. Once you've changed the size of your slide to the 4:3 ratio, get a new slide. If you haven't got an Apple Pencil, click on the plus and go to Drawing. If you have got an Apple Pencil, just tap. So when I've been creating my alter ego, I've been using the pencil and the crayon more, so they've got a more playful effect. And you're able to then change the thickness here. So we're going to give you some time now to create different personalities and different kind of characters. And then I will show you how to create maybe a 2 or 3 frame animation. So you'll be able to see on you. I've thought about the expression on the faces of my taco as well. So have a little think about the type of personality that you want to create. Also, when you're drawing, think about the different shades and tones. So if you look at the donut here, the way I've drawn this, I've just drawn the circle, I've drawn the outside of the circle, and then I've created the inside splodge with the paint tool. So I'm going to redraw my donut, and you can draw alongside me with your own characters. Has anybody got any questions? All good? Okay, so we'll give you probably about 5 minutes or so because I've noticed we're running out of time today. So get drawing. Anything that can reflect your personality, things you like, things you dislike. So Alicia, think about maybe your favourite food. I'm an absolute Mexican food fiend as well as donuts, so that's why I've chosen to do those my alter egos. You could create a monster like Dave has created. There's also different things. It could be your favorite coffee mug, it could be your favorite animal, it could be, we've had your 8 drawn worry monsters this year, because showing the different things they've been worried about during lockdown. You could draw maybe a favorite sea animal or a combination of everything. So we've had pupils create an ostronki, or maybe the chidonki feature. Where they've combined different parts of different animals, where we've had an ostrich, a donkey and a dolphin brought together. So be as creative as you wish. There's no right or wrong answer. I tend to go for food. As you saw earlier, Dave created some little monsters. So be as creative as you like to be. So I'll just draw along with you. And if anybody else would like to do a donut, feel free to do so. So I started off with the circle. I've drawn the outside edge to give it a 3D effect. Drawn a circle in the middle, and then I've drawn the 3D type on the edge to make it look more 3D. I'm then going to choose my icing colour, and I'm going to use the fill tool to be able to create the outline. What I can do as well is I can just rub out the bits in the middle if I want to, or I can just use the fill tool just to click in the middle to make it white again. And I'm going to choose like a golden brown for the backgrounds. I'm just tapping on the screen because it's a whole shape, it's a fixed shape. You're able to tap to fill. So I'm going to have a go at adding in some darker tones. So I've just gone for the darker range of the purple, and I'm going to follow along the one edge using the fill tool, and then I'm going to follow the line back again. And that way you're able to show different layers and different tones. Everyone should have their own personal approach. And it'd be nice as well to see some textures come in through. So I'm just going to use the crayon tool to bring some textures in on my fill. And think about the character you want to create. Think about, are they cheeky? Are they naughty? Are they happy? Are they kind? Do they worry? Are they anxious? What type of personality will your alter ego, your character, or your monster might have?
Pupils tend to respond really well to this because it's a good way that they can bring their interests and likes, and they'll often do mind maps to explore their likes and dislikes. My little donut's going to be shocked in this one. Think about the little details you might add. You can make it as complex or as simple as you wish. And I'm mainly using the crayon tool to bring in some texture, almost like a playful effect. But if you prefer to use the pen, you can use the pen as well. Just be really creative in what you're making. Think about how does it reflect your personality or how you're feeling. Don't forget as well, if you need to choose a colour, swipe over in the colour section, use the eyedropper, and you can select the colour that you need. You can also find a variation of the same tone by changing it lighter and darker by moving it along. And then you can bring in some more tones into your work. I'm going to let you draw for 1 more minute because I'm aware of time and I know that there's other sessions going on at 6 o'clock. Once you're happy with your drawing, just click on done. So there's my donut, looking a little bit shocked. Okay. So Carol, what you can do with the layers is you could put them onto different slides and then bring them together. Another way that you can do as well is if you separate each part. So if you use the selection tool, so for example, if I wanted to get rid of the mouth, I can just select it and delete it or separate it. And if I separate it, this will be on a different layer to the rest of it. So I can change the size of it, I can adjust it and replace it where I'd like it. Also, if I wanted, for example, to get rid of this, I can highlight it and then I can click on delete, which means that I don't rub out anything else that I've done. Matt's got a good point as well. You could lock each part of the drawing when you've finished. So the way that you do that is you can go into the formatting tool and you can see lock and you can group and you can merge. So you can either merge all the different layers together to form one shape, or you can group them and you can also lock them in place. So there's a possibility of doing it. It's just thinking about using it in a slightly different way to the other type of drawing software that you might use. Okay, I'm going to quickly move on to the next part. The next part again is linked to the selfie. So you need to include yourself in your selfie. I'll just get my camera up. Okay, so I'm just going to take some pictures of myself quickly and think about expressions. So I'm going to have my donut bouncing from my shoulder to my head to my other shoulder. So think about the different expressions. You can see I look like an absolute goon with these different expressions, but it's all about making it fun and interactive and telling that story. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go down to the bottom and I'm going to create a new slide, and then I'm going to click on the plus and I'm going to select my first picture. All I need to do then is tap on my screen, copy my drawing, and then I'm going to paste it onto here. What I can do as well, you can see that the middle of the donut is white. So I'm actually going to go back into drawing. I'm going to choose I'm going to go into the fill, choose the eyedropper. I'm going to select the same color as my background wall, and then I can just tap in the middle so that it fills it. So it looks like it's in situ. It doesn't look like it's out of place. I'm going to add in my next photo, where the donut is going to go on my head. So I'm going to select this one because I filled the middle and it's in the right size. I'm going to paste it. And I'm going to put it onto my head. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back into drawing and I'm going to add some jump lines in as well. So it looks like it's springing up from my shoulder onto my head. I'm going to add in then another slide and add in the last photo. And copy again the original donut so it's the same size. If you want to scale it up to have more impact, so it looks like it's coming closer to the screen, you can. And all you need to do is use your 2 fingers and then you can stretch the donut if you wish to. And I'm going to add in some more photos, some more lines. So it looks like he's falling down. That's a really quick GIF. As I've shown you already, you can add more into it. And for example, on this one, I added in some stars and different thought bubbles as well. But due to time, I'll just show you this. So when you're happy with your images, click on the dots, 3 dots in the top corner in the circle, click on export, and you want to create an animated GIF. Make sure you check your slide range, because at the moment, because I'm on slide 8, it's only showing slide range 8 to 8. So I'm going to move it 6 to 8. So my slides, which is the first one, slide 7 and slide 8 will all be included in slide 6 to 8. You can change the frames per second. You can adjust how long it will be per tap. And then you can change the size of it as well. So on Twitter, the medium ones seem to work better than the extra large. Click on export, click on share, and then click on save image. And that will then save into your photos for you. And you'll be able to see your GIF in photos. And so you've created an interactive animation using drawing and photography. So this is one that Dave did, and you'll be able to see that it doesn't need to be complex, like with him jumping around the screen. It can be something as simple as this that's really effective. So this is Dave's hands-free selfie, which he then used to put in this little animation. What we would love you to do, if you could share your outcomes with us on Twitter using ADE Festival of Learning, ADE 2020, iPad Art 2020, and Everyone Create. That would be great. And I'm going to set you your challenge. If you can share them all on Twitter using these hashtags, especially the iPad Art 2020, and we'll be able to collate them all again. Those of you who took part on last Tuesday, we collated those together, and they should be on Dave's Twitter, and you can also see them on the community. So I'm just going to set you a challenge for next week, a creative challenge for next week. Before I move on, these are the apps that we use today in order to create the augmented reality and the Chatpics work, not forgetting Keynote as well. Okay, so your challenge for next week is to use the app Chatpics. So I'm just going to play this video. Challenge for next week is to use one of the drawings you've done in our workshops and make it speak using Chatpics.
we'd like you to tell us what your highlights have been of the ADE Festival of Learning in 30 seconds.
Show you the app Chatterpix quickly. So it's called ChatterKid, and there's also a Chatterpix version. If you click onto this, it takes you into this app.
Welcome to Chatterpix.
So you can use a photo, you can use your gallery. So I'm just going to use my gallery one, and I'm going to select the drawing that I've done of Julian Opie. So you can go into your photos, and then I'm going to place this there. If you click on next, what you need to do is you just need to draw a line over the mouth. Where you draw the line over the mouth will be where it moves. So you want to try and get as accurate as possible. And then you click on record, and whatever you record, the animation comes to life. So what we would like you to do next week, using the hashtag iPadArt2020, is to use one of your drawings that you've done this week or last week, and tell us what your festival highlights have been. So what have been the highlights for the whole of the ADE Festival of Learning? Any questions, just please message us on Twitter. Jacob, Chatterpix or ChatterKids, they're exactly the same, I think. It's the same people who create them. They've just got different names, but they have the same function. But I'll post that on to Twitter, the challenge, and I'll also post it on the community as well. Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks, everybody.